I am not a fan of remakes and remasters. I've said it many times that generally I think they're cash grabs, and I prefer a new IP or a new idea from a developer, even if it's not executed perfectly, over a remake that's nothing more than 4K textures and some UI changes. It's rare that a remake grabs my attention enough to make me actually want to play it. That said, where I do think remakes can shine is when it's an older classic game that may be past its window, where new players can jump in and experience what made the game great back in the day. With the colossal failure that was the Callisto Protocol, my hopes for the Dead Space remake were honestly pretty low. Having played it and beaten it over the last several days, I'm here to tell you that this is one of the best remakes that I have seen. It is an obvious labor of love, and any idea I had that this was just a cash grab has been completely washed away. Now, I won't make you watch until the end of the video to tell you that I absolutely loved my time with the Dead Space remake. And I'm here to tell you, if you're like me and you generally shy away from them, this one is an exception to that rule, and you absolutely owe it to yourself to experience this masterclass in how to build a game that oozes atmosphere, invokes terror, and keeps you glued to the experience like few games can. So with that said, let's dive a bit deeper into the Dead Space remake, and I'll tell you why I think this game is worth checking out. From the initial cutscene through the end credits, this game absolutely nails what it's like to build an atmospheric horror game. I can't remember a recent game that made me stop as often as I did in Dead Space and just look around and enjoy what was crafted for me. Cavernous rooms, tight hallways, utilitarian hub areas, and small rooms off the beaten path make the USG Ishimura believable and a joy to explore. If exploring a creepy spaceship that's overrun with horrific monsters and acts of unimaginable violence can be considered a joy. Every single thing in this game just works to make you feel like you're really in the heart of the USG Ishimura, and that's not a pleasant place to be. From crackling sparks to beeping consoles to water dripping to the repetitive annoying crash of a door that's stuck opening and closing, it's rare to have a game know exactly what it wants to convey and then do it so well and so consistently. I absolutely took time to just look around and enjoy what had been crafted for me. The USG Ishimura is a place of nightmares, and it was fantastic to experience. Okay, so they nailed the aesthetics, you get it, but you have to experience it to really get it. There are so many little things that all come together. Random events, jump scares, creepy rooms, new enemies, scenes of past horrors, it's all there just waiting for you to stumble across, and this game is filled with them, and yet they remain just random enough that your guard is down each time you come across one. So how do we revive a game from 2008 to make it modern and accessible to gamers now without changing the heart of the game? You polish the heck out of it all and add some very well done quality of life improvements. Okay, polish is great and all, but how does this game actually play? Combat in Dead Space is visceral and intense, and while I didn't find it overly difficult, it is thoroughly enjoyable. There's a large assortment of weapons and upgrade paths available that add just enough variety to how you play to keep it fresh. A steady stream of new weapons, available upgrades, and add-ons make you feel like you're truly progressing and getting stronger. And with the upgrade system for your suit and weapons, you feel like you're achieving more than just obtaining credits and health packs. Combat focuses on taking down your enemy's ability to do harm. In Dead Space, you don't go for headshots, you go for the legs or the arms or the weird tail thingy thing. There's nothing quite as satisfying as shooting your enemies in the leg only to see the flesh melt away and expose bone, or that bone to break and shatter on your next shot as you watch the creature fall to the ground. The first time I blew the skin off a creature with a newfound weapon, I audibly chuckled and nodded my thanks to the devs for thinking of these small things that make combat such a frantic, terrifying joy. So about that survival horror thing, how does that work? Well, in Dead Space, you have both gear and inventory. Weapon slots allow you to pick and choose up to 4 active weapons, and an upgradable suit allows you to add things like larger oxygen capacity, health, better or longer stasis, stronger kinesis, and more. Limited inventory slots serve to make you make those tough, agonizing choices between the ability to heal or have more ammo. It sucks in theory, but having to make that choice only added to the sense of dread. Stores dotted around the map allow you to purchase much needed ammo, health packs, and weapon upgrades, while upgrade benches display gear, skill trees, and various perks. It's not necessarily, and honestly, I'm not sure how much any of this actually changes the gameplay, but it kept me feeling like I was making progress and made looting every locker and chest I came across feel like it resulted in something rewarding. Now, I have to take a minute to talk about the sound design in this game. The sound design is absolutely flawless. The binaural audio is top notch, and I was constantly looking behind me as I'd hear whispers, singing, freaky sounds, or just about any other creepy thing you could imagine hearing. Seriously, kudos to the audio team, because this game isn't just about looking great, it's about the full experience, and the audio plays such a huge role in that immersion. I'd often find myself just standing still, trying to make out what the whispers were saying, or looking behind me to see what just talked to me, only to find empty space. It added so much to the suspense and sense of terror that you have to experience it to really appreciate it. So what's a horror game without a compelling story? Well, rest assured, Dead Space doesn't reinvent anything crazy here, but a haunted, infested, creepy spaceship stranded out in the middle of nowhere is plenty scary enough. The story is solid, and it's supported very well by a great mix of characters with solid voice acting, interesting text logs, live video feeds, audio recordings.
Last valve done, Chief. Progress report filed by Jacob Temple. The engine problems aren't a malfunction. Someone shut off the fuel lines to the primary engine and damaged the valves to hell and back. We just wasted an hour fixing them.
And more, and the story behind what actually happened on the USG Ishimura becomes more and more clear as you play. While this game is fairly linear, some of the rooms of the USG Ishimura are very memorable and awe-inspiring. There are small storage rooms and bathrooms that allow you to head just off the main path and explore just a little bit, where you can find hidden crates and lockers that reward you with things like ammo and credits. But the main draw here are the massive rooms like the engine room, the centrifuge room, and some of the other cool things that you come across, like heading outside the hull. There are moments in this game where you step into a room and you are just invoked with awe at the size and scale of what they've built. Now, no game is perfect, and there are a few things I didn't love, but they were in no way game-breaking. The classic, I need to be looking directly at this object from exactly 2 feet away while at a 78-degree angle so that it will show the prompt so I can pick up this item off the ground does exist, which can be a little annoying. The USG Ishimura is a bit of a maze, and you need to use the map to find your way around. One of the issues is when you have your map open, you can't sprint or interact with doors. So I found myself popping in and out of the map a bit more than I'd like. For a game with so much immersion, this was a bit of a rough jolt at times. For all the neat weapons that you can get, I found that some of them were just a little bit over-engineered. Sometimes the weapon was a little overly complicated or not effective enough to really warrant the high cost of ammo. And I found that the good old plasma cutter was just the gun that I wound up defaulting back to more often than not. They're minor gripes to be sure, but they do exist. So all this sounds great, but is it worth it? Would I recommend it? And how would I rate the Dead Space remake? Well, we rate games based on a scale of make love, marry, or murder. Make love is a game that's great, it's enjoyable, and it's worthwhile. Marry is a game that you'll go back to for hundreds of hours, or it left such a lasting impression on you that you'll be thinking about it long after you've finished the game. And murder, well, murder is just that. Stay away at all cost. So this game clocks in at about 10 to 12 hours. The addition of side missions is honestly a great new feature, and it is one that I did take advantage of. The game comes with a $60 price tag, and it's somewhat short. So is it worth it? Absolutely. This is how you do a remake. This game was an absolute joy to play, to look at, to listen to, and to lose myself in. If you know the original Dead Space, this game is an amazing homage to it, and it's very well done. If you've never heard or seen Dead Space in your life, this game is an absolute banger of a survival horror game. I'm rating this game an easy make love. I'd marry it based on the quality alone, but it's hard to marry a game that doesn't have much replayability and it's only about 10 to 12 hours long, but this game deserves to be experienced by everyone. While I'm still not a fan of remakes, I am a huge fan of this one and what Motive Studios did with such a beloved game. These devs did what many can't seem to do lately, and that's release a finished game that's well optimized, is enjoyable from start to finish, and very memorable. If you like this review and want more like it, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and check out our podcast for even more gaming news, reviews, and all things gaming related.